93X Rocks. It's tearing minutes from getting you into the sold-out Ultimate X-Girl finale with Steel Panther and Young Guns tonight at Mill City Nights. Traffic from Ryan Pasiga, Criminal Defense. Roseville, 35W northbound between Highway 36 and County Road 96. It's slow. Minneapolis, 94 westbound between at 53rd Ave. It's an accident. Got the center lane blocked. Everything is backed up from 49th Avenue and Minnetonka, 394 westbound after 494. There's an accident on the right shoulder. Find yourself on the wrong side of the law? Contact criminal defense attorney Ryan Pasiga at arrestedminnesota.com. What he lacks in hockey skills, he makes up for in the courtroom. That's Ryan Pasiga at arrestedminnesota.com.
We are WWE Twin Cities. It's the WWE SmackDown Holiday Tour. The final event this year, live at Target Center, Friday night, December 28th.